So you have to find something, even if it's not art, go play tennis, go on walks, go train your dog. And I know that's hard to say because you're angry and, but eventually there's going to be a moment where that anger subsides for a brief moment where you can say, you know what, I'm going to go get that tennis racket. I'm going to go sign my dog up. I'm going to go play the piano. And then when you're in that brief moment, you'll probably want to stay there because you'll realize, gosh, I feel much better.
If you've outgrown your current path, this is your invitation to step out of the hustle and into your purpose and passion. It can be healing, it can be fun, and it can be strategic. This is where you become the boss goddess in your niche and bring your dreams to life. If creating an intimate place to share your wisdom is calling you, to create your own podcast, to express the stories you want to tell, to shift into a fuller version of the soul-led business that is calling you, but it's feeling hard or like something is standing in your way and you may not even know what it is, then I invite you to the Voice of the Goddess. This is a free ritual guide that I created that has the journal exercises and rituals that guided me forward during my process of leaning in and embracing what is emerging for me, the deeper, more true expression of my own message and gifts. So if you're feeling that same calling emerge and you're ready to stop looking outward for answers and start trusting yourself and reframing your path as your power and reclaiming your voice as your sacred guide forward, then you can download the free Voice of the Goddess ritual guide by just going to boss-goddess.co/ritual guide, boss-goddess.co/ritual guide to get started, and I'll see you on the inside. Hi, and welcome back to the Boss Goddess podcast. I'm Barcy, your host. You may have noticed that lately we're talking a lot about the power of self-expression. And in today's episode, we are exploring that through the lens of creativity, music, and grief. My guest today is singer, songwriter, and music producer CARA. And today she intimately shares with us her journey through grief as she creates her album, The Kronicles, featuring Gangsta Boo from 3 6 Mafia, which, as you listen, you'll learn has a deeper meaning to CARA on several levels. One being that Gangsta Boo is actually no longer with us, and CARA is using this album to also honor her and her legacy by incorporating her into it. So one of the things I love about how CARA is creating this album, The Kronicles, is that she's letting it be a process that is evolving with her. You'll hear CARA share in this episode how the album started out one way, but after tragedy hit her family, not once, but twice, she began writing again to help herself with the immense grief. This conversation is one of the most honest ones I think we've ever had on the show. And if you're struggling with grief or anger, we hope our conversation helps you feel less alone. Here's a little more about CARA. CARA is an American singer-songwriter who is known for her official remake of the Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right to Party, which was licensed by Sony ATV and approved by the Beastie Boys and American record executive and producer Rick Rubin. CARA was the #1 spun independent artist for 4 consecutive weeks on Top 40 radio, according to the national media base with her song Fight. And CARA has opened up for artists like Little John, Mike Jones, and Soulja Boy, and as you know, is currently recording her debut album, The Kronicles, with an anticipated Top 40 radio release campaign and a feature from the late Gangsta Boo of 3 6 Mafia. The full album is set to release this year in 2025 and is an autobiographical series of chapters that detail the raw and authentic stories of CARA's life, combining elements of multiple genres that are symbolic of her relationship with music, especially the flute, which she's been playing from the age of 12. After a series of devastating losses, CARA uses songwriting, singing, and musicianship as tools to process grief and reclaim her experiences with lyricism that is catchy and melodic while staying raw and honest. The Chronicles is dedicated to Cara's brothers, including her late brother Alex and mother Mary, and dear friend and mentor Lola, aka Gangsta Boo. Cara hopes that through her music, listeners can feel solidarity with their own life chapters and lost loved ones to create a community of people who feel less alone in their journey of processing grief. Here's my conversation with Cara. Welcome, Cara.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. You have such a beautiful creative journey and you are working on a big project right now. So we're going to talk about all of that and to share with you, many of the listeners are also creatives, they're intuitives, they really speak to this sort of creative journey that you're on and that I'm on too, because I identify as a creative as well. But you are a singer and a songwriter and a musician and a producer and all these wonderful things that they just heard in the intro. But I'd love to know, because I believe you started singing at a young age, right?
Yes, I was just naturally singing because I was at church when I was really young and I went into like playing the bells and their choir like immediately. But it continued from there in school and got more serious.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also know that you play the flute, just like Lizzo, which is so fun.
Thank
Has creativity always been this sanctuary for you?
Absolutely. And even at times when I thought that it wasn't and I was on to other things, it would organically come back to me and I would find myself writing songs about what I was going through. And then I would be like, I can't escape it. I have to write music. It's something I know I'm just going to be living with for the rest of my life. So
Yeah, that's a great thing to have.
I'm like, I have to write about what I go through in music. And for some reason, that helps me process everything.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Has it always been songwriting for you in that expression?
It has, but it for me, the songwriting encompasses the whole song, which includes production. And it's funny you ask that because I've been executive producing all of my music, meaning I'm directing the producer, but I just
Mm.
started producing the song from complete scratch with my engineer who is also a producer at Orb. Her name is Kelsey, and she's like a pro. She's been doing this for years. So I am learning how to use the equipment, but to be able to produce my own music now and like every sound I hear in the song literally came from me choosing it out of a lineup,
Hmm.
every detail and literally every sound. Usually I'm like directing process and sounds are being shown to me. But now I literally went in through, Logic with Kelsey and I chose everything myself from scratch. So I've literally began building songs from the ground up now,
Hmm.
which before with direction people come up with their own things and kind of show you what they're coming up with, and now I'm doing everything on my own from the ground up, so that's really exciting.
That sounds fun. I know how fun it is to start taking more and more control of the creative process.
Yeah.
So I do podcast production, and my favorite part was the sound designing and putting together the feel and the tone and pulling together all of the sort of music elements and sound effects and things like that when I started doing that as well as part of my process as a producer. It was the thing that kind of lit me up again too. So I can relate to that feeling of choosing everything and making all of those elements come together. It's really fun. Can you share the inspiration for this album? Like, what is the story that you want that's coming forth?
So I went into another industry in 2014 after the success of my last song, Fight, which was a remake of the Beastie Boys' Fight for Your Right to Party. And Rick Rubin had approved it and it had done really well, But I immediately went to go record an EP, but I ended up in another industry, which was the cannabis industry in Los Angeles. And I had a knack for it. I was really good in that industry at
Mhm.
production. And I would have went even farther than I went, but there were a lot of things going on, but I did get really far. And I was selling pounds of deep water culture cannabis to dispensaries around Los Angeles. And I was really known for having a really great product. And because of that, I thought I was going to be in that industry for the rest of my life. I didn't envision myself making music anymore, not purposely, not because I hated music, not because anything had went wrong with music, but I had a purpose where I was in the cannabis industry. I was helping with getting rid of stigma. I was creating a clean product. The dispensaries counted on me. The patients counted on me. The community counted on me. I was doing something really impactful. So I didn't have time for anything else. But then a lot of things started happening, which were pretty serious, that made me need an outlet and a way to process it. And so I just naturally started writing music. And plus, when I would work on the plants, because I was a grower, I would listen to music, my music playlists, and I would be coming up with things in my head or writing melodies over the songs I was hearing or getting musical ideas. And I was like, gosh, it just doesn't escape me. It's like always.
Of course, it will be a part of you
It's just
forever.
always here. Yeah. And so I still didn't really think anything, but then I started writing music. And then I lost my brother in a home invasion in Texas. When that happened, like I said, there was a lot of things going on with the 10,000 square foot building I finally had gotten to in Santa Ana, and it was going to be my brand, CARA KUSH. But a lot of things happened during that time where just that wasn't working out over there. And that's right when my brother passed away. So it's like I had to then focus on burying my brother. And so it was like a blessing in disguise that it didn't work out. So none of that is a loss. All of that gave me so much growth and experience. And the album now has went past, to answer your question. I had to talk about that because all of that is in the album. And that was your question. Where did this album come from?
Yeah.
It started with me being in the cannabis industry. It was called Kush Chronicles. It's now called The Chronicles because of the fact that when I lost my brother and I lost my mother shortly after that, I also wasn't growing anymore. So then I started to really expand this album into, I've gone through this. I've gone through these emotional traumas with my loss of my family members. I've gone through the cannabis industry and all of these different situations. And here are me and Gangsta Boo talking about it in a song, which is very amazing. And she's known for hydro, for loving her hydro. So to have the queen of hydro in my song about me growing hydro, I don't know. To me, that's pretty cool because that's what she's known for. In the 90s, when 3-6 Mafia was really hot at that time. I mean, they still are today. But when they were first like really coming out on the scene, they were talking a lot about hydro weed. And in the 90s, nobody had really had that yet. They still had the regular weed that was coming over the border. And so that's why to have her in this album and in that song about my experiences in LA growing weed, it's very powerful. And it's like a manifestation. She isn't with us anymore, but she is known as being a legendary rapper. And she was my friend, and we worked on a song together. And so now the album is The Chronicles because we've went past cannabis into empowerment, into me now going through those struggles in the industry. I've gone, through loss, and now I'm going to come out on the other side, and I may never heal, but I'm going to be stronger in the business. I'm going to be stronger personally, and I'm going to be empowered now. And that's like the lead way into the next album or EP, because now I have freed myself, not from the grief, but I have freed myself from being wrapped up in the Kush Chronicles forever, basically. And now I'm going to let it all out in this album, and then I can breathe and move on with my life.
Okay, so beautiful. Tell me about Tears.
So Tears is the second single off the Chronicles. And as I was discussing that every song is a chapter of my life, and it's now gone beyond cannabis into different moments of my life that are traumatic, impactful, or even joyful to really get to where I am today. Therefore, Tears is about loss. And I have a song, as each song is a chapter. I have a song for my brother Alex. I have a song for my mom. But Tears is really on a day, it was written for me to survive. It was like I felt dead from all of this. And now I needed to write my loss. And it was written on a day where I was questioning life's purpose, where I didn't even know if I wanted to be here anymore. But as you'll hear in the song, I say I stay for my dogs. And it was because I was experiencing profound grief. Like, it's just not fair. You know, some things had happened in life with loss, you know, with people. And I think tragic deaths that don't serve any purpose at all, or just totally violent and scary, those type of things are just tragedies. You know what I mean? And those are something like you never will heal from. And I hate that word heal because I just hate it when people say there's healing. There's never healing. It's learning how to live with it, learning how to now live with that loss.
Wow. I think that's an interesting, and I say interesting because it is so easy to go to these ideas of like healing and, you know, moving through something. And I don't know if this is an American thing or if this is a human thing, but we really don't like to be in our emotions. Like, we don't want to take the time often to process. I think that's the beauty of having a creative expression, so that you have that tool that a lot of people don't have access to as easily if they aren't practicing with their creativity on a regular basis. But it sounds like grief is something that we just continuously process as we grow.
Yeah.
And as we reflect and as we create containers for it, like you have with this album, which is a really honest way to talk about tragedy.
Yeah, that's a lot of what's in it. And that goes back to why I changed the name, just the Chronicles, which is a set of chapters, because it's gone way beyond a cannabis metaphor now. Because now so many things have happened in my life that it's gone beyond that. That is what Tears is about. It's about questioning everything. Like, it makes no sense that we're here one day working on things with a plan with dogs, and then the next day you're not here anymore. That's very strange concept.
It is.
Like this, like what? Like, and it really hit home with me when I lost my brother that way, because we're only a year apart.
Wow.
And so to lose him, you know, I lost a part of myself. And for me to witness how it can happen like that, I already know that. I wasn't a person that thought that can't happen to me. I actually was the opposite. It is a part of your life. Instead of watching it from the news, it does change you. And it definitely changes you for sure. And that's what Tears is about. Me just saying, I'm leaving, I'm getting out of here. It's no fun here anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do I want to be here on an earth where this can happen to people, where this is happening, where no one cares, where like they don't even care to go. They're like, oh, we know who the people are who did this, but we can't pick them up because there's no proof. I'm like, what kind of world are we living in? Like, well, they have some proof, but you know, not enough, you know, and enough to know it's them. I was just questioning that. I was like, none of this, there's no integrity behind people anymore. Like, nobody gets anything done. Like, it's just, I was just very sad, you know, and I think we all have days like that. I think mine was compounded that day times like a million. And I wrote this song to kind of survive that moment. It all came out of me in tears. And people who care about me, who know me when they listen to it, they like are really, really like impacted with the lyrics. Like, I've even seen some of my friends cry when they listen to it. So I know that like it does hit with some people who understand what I'm talking about. And I hope that can help others see that they're not alone. Like when they're having these moments of despair where you don't understand like what's happening in life and life's purpose and why bad things are happening. I just want people to know they're not alone, that it's happening to everyone. And I know people already know that because all you have to do is turn on the news, but I think it's good to hear it expressed.
Oh, 100%. It's not the same thing as turning on the news at all. I mean, we're all aware consciously, right? But that's so different to cerebrally know that there's things like this out there, but to really have to process it and being put into a position where you're experiencing it.
Yeah.
I do think that creative expression and hearing other people talk about it in a real way like this is very guiding. It can be an anchor. It can help someone feel less alone for sure. So I just want to thank you for sharing it.
That's what Gangsta Boo helped me with by me just hearing her talk about a woman being around hydroponic. I was like, wow, I'm not alone. So I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. So I didn't write Tears to purposefully help others. I actually wrote it to help myself that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worried about myself that day. And if I didn't write that song, like I said in the song, I was staying around for my dogs. And I know that's like a very serious thing to say, and you're not supposed to say that. But I'm just being very honest and vulnerable about how I felt that day. And I wasn't going to do anything, but it's just how I felt. I felt
Yeah.
like, why is the earth and the universe doing this to people? Why are they putting us here to have such terrible violence and scary things happen and go through all this and just lose someone like that? I don't understand that. I don't understand like that kind of stuff. Like it's just it's too heartbreaking. Like, and a month before I lost my brother, he was actually doing a blood drive for the children of Uvalde from the Uvalde shooting. And then like a month later, I lost him from blood loss from a violent home invasion, which he didn't get shot by the person, but to avoid the gunshot, he was cornered in the room. So he had to jump out a window to avoid the gunfire of the masked man. And when he jumped out the window to save his life, a piece of glass hit his artery. So
Mm.
he wasn't able to wrap his arm because what he did is he ran through the front door to get the guy out of the house because my mom was in there. The whole time he was getting the guy out of the house, which he did do, he was a hero. He got the guy out of the house. He was bleeding out. So he died in my mother's arms. He took his last breaths in my mom's arms while the ambulance was on the way. I just don't understand why people have to go through that. It's just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seeing my mom's face after that, it was heartbreaking enough. I couldn't even get to myself
Yeah.
to process anything because I was too worried about the look on her face that I had to see after that. And my own anger at what happened.
Yeah. The anger and handling what's right in front of you first is so natural and so normal. And I'm so glad that you did have a moment to also process what was coming up for you, because for sure, like, of course, you're not writing for anyone else yet at that point.
Right. Yeah.
That's the beauty of art, is we're reflecting on our own experiences, and the fringe benefit of that is that it will resonate and help someone else. Like, that's the part you don't have to overthink, because it just will be. And that honesty and the honesty you're sharing with us right now is exactly why it will help someone else feel less alone. Just less alone. I mean, that's enough. So there's so many things in life that make us feel like we're alone, and we don't, because we can't understand the why behind something like that. And it's just painful. So I'm so grateful for you being able to be in your authenticity right now and share it with us from a place that's true, because
Thanks for letting me talk about it in a safe
yeah,
space. Yes, that's all in the album. All of that There's things for my mom, there's things for my brother. And that's why it really turned into just simply the Chronicles, because there's just chapters and there's 16 chapters in there.
I can't wait to hear the whole thing.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful process. And I love that you are taking this on creatively and making sure it's your vision completely. It sounds so appropriate for this album specifically
Yeah,
and how you shared about it.
the Tears video just came out. So it's
Great.
out, and you'll see me travel to space because that's my metaphor of wanting to leave Earth. I travel to Mars.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to have some playfulness around something that feels so heavy.
Really a joy to make that video because I realized I turned such a sad moment into a piece of art, and I was there creating it, manifesting it, and that part felt really, really great. So with all the grief and the things I'm speaking to you about today, I think that's the important part now. I like to talk about both sides of things instead of just making things sound glittery. And
Mm,
I think in the past, my songwriting, I wasn't purposefully doing that, but I realized I was trying to run away, like you said earlier, from those things that we don't want to think about.
yeah.
So I was purposefully trying not to think about those things by writing about having fun in New York, by writing about going to the clubs in New York, by writing about fashion. These are all my life experience at the time, because it wasn't because I was lacking substance. It was because I didn't want to think about, oh my gosh, I was worried about home invasions growing up. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about all these crazy things that happened to me as a kid. I just want to go and have some fun. And I was not processing me.
Mm,
And then to lose my brother in the way that I feared the most, I think was like one of the worst things that
yeah. It's unimaginable. And then it happens.
that was one thing I think always had scared me in life. And so to have it happen that way, it just sucks, you know?
Yeah.
I wish I could have done something to,
Yeah.
I don't know, but there's nothing I could have done. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that what I'm proud of is that I'm taking these terrible things and these struggles in a business, as an independent businesswoman, and I'm turning these pains and struggles, I can't say totally independent because I have teams of people around me who help me, but I think what I mean by that is like I'm not married, I'm single, I'm just like an independent woman. That's what I meant.
Yeah, you are.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm turning these things into something positive, hoping to inspire others with whatever I can help them with.
For anyone else who's maybe searching for answers, like you are around something that's bringing in a lot of grief and maybe they have a creative outlet, maybe they don't, but what would you say to them?
I have a great answer. Even if they're not an artist and they don't have like art or something to pour it into or a painting, gosh, go put it into hitting the tennis racket or something.
Yeah.
Like go pick up a sport where you're going to be burning energy, because you don't want to have your cortisol raise. And when you're experiencing grief and you're holding it in and trying not to think about it, you're naturally probably a little bit on edge without realizing it. And that's going to raise your cortisol no matter what. And that could lead to disease.
That's true.
So you have to find something, even if it's not art, go play tennis, go on walks, go train your dog. And I know that's hard to say because you're angry and, but eventually there's going to be a moment where that anger subsides for a brief moment where you can say, you know what, I'm going to go get that tennis racket. I'm going to go sign my dog up. I'm going to go play the piano. And then when you're in that brief moment, you'll probably want to stay there because you'll realize, gosh, I I feel much better. I just poured all that horrible fog going on in my brain into this, and I actually feel better now. And then you can actually process the fact that you realize you're never going to truly heal from that loss, but at least you're putting the energy of that loss into something that's productive instead of harmful to yourself.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best way to explain it.
I think it's a great way to explain it. Thank you so much, Kara, for everything that you shared today and for being so honest and forthcoming and just having an authentic conversation about about all of the things, about the fun things and the stuff that really can bring us down. So I'm just grateful for your sharing. And we'll link to everything in the show notes so they can listen to your music and connect with you and follow you. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you so much, Christina. Honestly, you've been a pleasure. And this has been like a great outlet itself to process everything. So thank you for allowing me such a safe and even joyful and bright, beautiful space.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the Boss Goddess podcast. And if you're ready to stop looking outward for answers and start trusting yourself and looking inward, to start reframing your path as your power and reclaiming your voice as your sacred guide forward, then be sure to get my free Voice of the Goddess ritual guide at boss-goddess.co/ritual guide. I'll see you on the inside.